can get it focused. Okay. Let me do oil immersion actually. This is a bad example. On the practical, I don't expect you to do an oil immersion. You should be able to tell what it is without having to do oil immersion, because I don't want to have to present you with oil. Okay. Okay. That is a horrible example of E. coli. Okay. This is what E. coli looks like. The prepared slide that I have up here is a terrible example. Okay. This is what you should expect E. coli to look like. Okay. If you could recognize, look at that. It's gram-negative, so it's pink. It's obviously pink on my screen, but it's not quite so obviously pink on your screen. Here's another one. Oh, that one's really tiny. Okay. What shape is E. coli? Here's a good one. Bacilli. Okay. Is it gram-negative or gram-positive? Okay. If you could recognize that that is E. coli, you'll be fine on my practical. Okay, because the slide that I have up here is horrible. I don't know.
Yes. That is gram negative. This
Rod shape.
yeah. Same thing.
I'm going to steal some lens paper since I did oil. There's some right here.
You've been here the whole time?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just need these.
I think there's many people.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Again, E. coli is important. You saw it. It's in your lab manual. It's in the PowerPoint. It's in your slide box. So if you see anything more than once, like I said, probably important. Okay. Anthrax. Anthrax is super cool to me, just because I think it's cool looking.
Anthrax. So no anthrax.
I'm writing it down.
Very cool. Somehow we have to know the clades.
Okay, here's anthrax at the first magnification. Okay. Again, at the next magnification. Anthrax. It's actually Bacillus anthracus. So Bacillus Anthracis. Okay. And then
A-N-T-H-R-A what?
Anthracis.
Close enough.
Take a picture like you told me to.
So if you ask about that on the exam, we need to know the Bacillus anthracis instead of anthrax.
If you get anthrax, I'll give it to you. Honestly, I'm not going to be super mean about it. And here it is under oil immersion. Okay, so it's crazy looking, right?
That's anthrax.
Mm-hmm. I just think it's super interesting because it killed lots of people. Not like that. I mean, maybe sound really creepy, but but you can tell it looks nothing like a lot of the bacteria we look at, right? The way it grows, it's a lot more close knit. They're all together, or if you go up, they're absent. You see what I'm saying? They grow in large clusters, where if you see a slide of E. coli, they're all kind of spread out, individualized. What's up?
Okay, so then how would you classify that with a little
Like the solar.
I don't expect you to.
okay.
Because technically it's gram-negative, but since anthrax grows so close together, some of the purple stain does get stuck. So that's why you can see in the clusters there's little purple sections where the stain didn't quite escape it all the way. Okay, so this is anthrax.
So like from that slide, we'd have to know like their domain. And,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So what domain is that?
That's
Okay.
no bacteria.
Bacteria.
And like we have to know it's clade as well. Okay.
Not with anthrax. Okay. Oh, sorry, I forgot. That's probably making y'all sick. Okay. Honestly, that's all the important ones from prokaryotes. For me personally, I feel like I need to like a warning because there are different exams.
E. coli was
You showed,
negative.
you only showed E. coli and
So-
anthrax, or did you show something before that?
For anthrax, what is the shape?
It's bacilli.
It's like-
Because the name of that bacterium is actually Bacillus anthracis.
So like if we put like rod shape, would you count that?
No.
Okay.
You have to know.
Just-
They were both bacteria.
Okay, so if you look in your slide box, do y'all have slide boxes out? Yeah. So if you look in the slide boxes, they're separated by lab. So the first section, 51 through 55, is all the prokaryotes. 56 through 69 are all the protists. 70 through 75 are all fungi. And then 76 through 80 are all plants. Oh, I got a bunch of stuff open right now. Okay, so even if you can't remember, like you recognize that it's a bacteria, but you can't remember what it is, at least know what domain it's in. Okay? Alright. For protists. Okay. Know where the supergroups go. Okay? If you study correctly and you study all the slides, this should be super easy. This should be a given question. Because if I cover up Rhizaria, okay, you should know that radiolarians are in the supergroup Rhizaria. One, because radiolarians is in your slide box. Two, because that was one of your quiz out questions. Okay? So if I cover up all the supergroups, you should be able to figure out where the supergroups go. Okay?
Are you gonna do the opposite where you give us the supergroups and have to name them like that?
What do you mean?
Like, do you have to name all these?
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to make you memorize all of these. Okay? Some of them we didn't go over. If we did go over them, you should know what supergroup they go under. But I'm not going to like blank out this whole like grayish blue section and be like, okay, fill in. Suckers. No. I'm not mean. Okay? There are questions where you're going to need to know the clade. Okay? So amoebozoans. We went over amoebas. So you need to know that amoeba is under the clade amoebozoans. Okay. What else did we go over? Alveolates, stromatophiles. You need to know, not particularly on this, but you need to know what goes under each clade. Okay. Prokaryotic versus eukaryotic cells. You should know this. Right. Just know it. However you need to memorize it, go for it. Hold on, let me go back. Make sure I'm not leaving anything out.
Can you go back to that slide?
Previous slide?
Can you go back to that phylogeny tree? Phylogeny tree. Oh, okay, so the clades are going to be those four things on the bottom below,
Mm-hmm.
and like you expect us to know like if it's like the supergroups represent which clade.
Mm-hmm. And the easiest way to do that, if I were you, I would go in your lab manual. And if you look in your lab manual, it separates them out for you.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you anything on your practical that's not on the in the lab manual or on the PowerPoint. I'm just not. So I mean, I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, since you're here, you get this privileged information. I don't think I've ever spoken the words trichomonas to you. Have I? Have you ever even heard the word trichomonas? Okay. So what you know about me? Would I put trichomonas on your practical?
No.
No. It's not on the PowerPoint. It's not in your lab manual. Okay? It's not in your lab manual. It's not on the PowerPoint. I'm not going to ask it to you on your practical. Okay. Protist. Different means of motility, different niches, reproductive, nutritional strategies. Overall, from this slide, you should get that protists are incredibly varied. What domain are protists in? Eukarya. Okay? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 protist slides. Now your exam might not have all 5, but all 5, I'm pretty sure I asked you. Okay, all of them except 1. I asked you, what domain is this protist in? Okay, so even if you can't identify the microscope slide, you should at least get partial credit. Okay?
What slide numbers did you say was for?
56 through 69. And they're color coded in the slide box.
Would you say to know about the slide to start with?
Varied. Just that they're varied. Okay? Motility. On the review, I wrote that you needed to, I'm sorry, I summoned my eye. You needed to know the different types of protist motility and examples. Okay? I'm not just putting something on the review to make you write it out. So, know that a cilia is the tiny whip-like structure. So what's an example of a protist with cilia? Does anybody know? It's in your lab manual.
Is it a
Nope.
It was the other one.
Paramecium. Good job.
That one.
Okay? So, paramecium is a protist. It has cilia. Flagella, there is not, I don't believe there's an example of a protist with flagella in your slide box. Okay? What is this? If you're in my lab section, you better know the answer to that. Okay? It's an amoeba. On the practical, I expect you to be able to say that that is the organism Amoeba proteus. Okay? I will give you partial credit if you get that it's amoeba, because that is the genus. but this is Amoeba proteus. Okay, so why am I so adamant that you know what an amoeba looks like?
Because it's a good example of pseudo.
Yes. It's a very good example of pseudopodia. And pseudopodia are the method of movement where they have false feet, where they move their body, I imagine kind of like a slug, and use their body to move around. Okay?
What's its clade for?
Off the top of my head, I don't know. Wait, it's an amoeba.
Proteus.
I just said it. Amoebozoan.
Okay, this is what we look for it.
Do you mind about the spelling?
If I can tell you're trying to say amoeba proteus, I'm not going to be too particular. Okay? But once you know that it's proteus, you should be able to get pretty close. Okay? What supergroup is this organism in? Anybody? I'm just going to pause until someone finds it.
It's
Do
the
what?
Unicota. The U one.
Unicoda.
Yeah, that.
Okay? This is in the supergroup Unicoda. Reproduction. How do protists reproduce?
Asexually and sexually.
Asexually and sexually. Okay? Again, I'm not going to be terrible and ask you specifically what is protozoan conjugation. Okay? As long as you know that they can reproduce sexually and asexually. Okay? Know that these are all the ways that protists can get their nutrition. Photoautotrophs, where they make organic molecules from CO2. Heterotrophs, where they take in organic molecules from other organisms. And mixotrophs, it can do both. What is this? What is this organism right here? Euglena. I think someone in the back said it, but it was kind of mumbled. Okay, that's Euglena. It's on the PowerPoint. It's in your book. You looked at a live specimen. You looked at a prepared slide. No, that's Euglena. No, it's a mixotroph. Ecological context. It can ingest the food, it can absorb the food, or it can photosynthesize the food. So it ingests the food kind of like we ingest our food. It can absorb its food like bacteria can, or it can photosynthesize its food like plants. Habitat, mostly aquatic. Okay, that's it on protists. As far as the microscope slides, do you want me to go through all of them?
Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
How many questions will be regarding the slides?
I don't know exactly because, like I said, I wrote 150 questions, and there's only 100 on each practical. But
Roughly.
there are 1, 2,
Let's scrub on the macro slides.
3,
Let's
4,
scrub the slide.
5. So I have 6 questions overall, which means on your practical you should expect 3 to 4. Okay. Again, I feel like I'm being very generous in that you already know, basically. I put an emphasis on E. coli, put an emphasis on amoebas. Anything I've used to quiz you out is fair game for the practical. There's a reason I quizzed you out with the organisms that I did. Okay? 56. Let's go through. I'm gonna have to turn this back on. Oh, here we are. Okay. your practical, when I ask you to focus the slide, when you're done, take the slide off and set it on the table. Okay, don't leave it focused. Okay. Why did you go off? Okay, this is Giardia, which you can see. Again, like I said, if y'all have somewhere to be, I'm not going to be offended if you want to leave or if you have to leave. It would be beneficial for you to stay, but I understand if you have somewhere to go. Okay.